So we're going to go through the company presentation tonight. It's information only. So it's really trying to give you an introduction to our business, Genistar, a flavor for what we do, how we help families, and the opportunities there are available for working with us. So you're welcome to take notes, write down all your questions. There'll be an opportunity to speak with the person that invited you afterwards. But if you could get yourself into a place where there's minimal distraction, that would be really helpful. It's just 30 minutes of your time. And that would be great. I'll give you a little bit more of my background. As I said, I live in Liverpool, and I started working with Genistar back in 2013. I'd moved to Liverpool to really work in a charity that was helping the victims of human trafficking. I actually had a sales and marketing background before that, but we were opening safe houses that were helping the victims who were rescued by the police to help them get their identity back and break free from a past really they were trying to forget. And during that time, I met the CEO of Genistar, Mr. Jeff Letts, and I was just really blown away by the financial concepts that Jeff was sharing at a presentation he was doing, and just him as a person. And so it's a great privilege tonight, actually, to be able to introduce you to our CEO, Jeff, who's on the call with us this evening. So Jeff, good evening. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Roger. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be with you.
Great to have you on the call, Jeff. Thank you so much for your time. I just thought, Jeff, as it was really an encounter with yourself that really started my journey in Genistar back in 2013. It would be great just to hear a little bit more of your story rather than me telling it secondhand. That really shaped our company.
Well, great, Roger, and thank you. That was a day that changed both of our lives, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And then the second best day is when we met Mike Roberts.
That's right.
So, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you here this evening. You know, I love to share my story, and the reason I do is, and especially right now during these tough, difficult, in the midst of a pandemic times, because I really do believe it can give people hope. You know, none of us like going through tough times. None of us like going through the valleys in life. Unfortunately, it seems like that's where we end up growing the most. And I was originally born and raised in Chicago, youngest of 3 children. Very sadly, my father lost his business, bankrupt, and was depressed over it, ended up taking his own life, left my mother with 3 small kids, all under the age of 12. I was the youngest, I would have been 5. And my mother had a nervous breakdown, became an alcoholic and a drug addict, and died 2 years later. So from my age 7 until I was 13, I was in and out of orphanages and foster homes. And as you can imagine, a very troubled, rebellious, angry kid, and ended up running away, living on the streets of Chicago until I was 15. I mean, literally the first 6 months, ate out of garbage bins, slept in alleys and beaches and rooftops and abandoned cars, and did whatever I could do to survive. And you know, it gets cold in the winter in Chicago, and did that for almost 2 years. And then I had a guy take me in. He became my foster father, and he and the pastor of the church that we got involved in, these 2 men really began to mentor me. And I began to realize that my history did not have to become my destiny. Went back to high school, became an honors student, met the love of my life, Margot. We met when we were 15 years old, dated all through high school and university. And then I got into sales. And so at 24 years old, Margot's teaching school. I'm in sales. We're making a pretty good living. And a friend of mine invited me to a seminar, much like what you're going to hear about tonight. Roger's going to give you the shortened version. And guys, at 24 years old, it blew my mind. And went home that evening. Margot wasn't originally with me. She came back the next time. But we sat down and did something called an FGP, a financial game plan. And I was so excited because my net worth was $10,000 until my lovely wife pointed out that there was a minus sign in front of the 10,000. It's a true story. And yet I went to work with that company, learned the 10 key principles to how to become financially independent, ended up doing well. I just worked part-time my first year, about 10 hours a week. I made 28,000 my first year. It wasn't a get rich quick thing. Next year I doubled that. The next year I doubled that again. And the next year I doubled that again. And we were saving money and investing it, buying property and investing it in investment funds. And by the time I was 31, my net worth, remember at 24, was minus 10,000. At age 31, I was a millionaire. I'm not sharing that to impress you or to brag or anything else, but just to say that the stuff that Roger's getting ready to teach you tonight literally changed my life. Now, a 20-minute seminar, a 30-minute seminar isn't going to change your life. It took a lot of hard work. Unfortunately, there's that dirty 4-letter word called work. But I tell you what, I fell in love with what we do, helping families to become debt-free and financially independent. And I know it worked for me. It will work for anybody. It's no respecter of who you are, what age or color or sex or nationality or anything else, if you actually practice the principle. 18 years ago, I moved to the UK and we started a company here. It was part of Citigroup, and that company closed almost 14 years ago, and that's when we started Genistar. And I really believe this, that we're just now starting to hit what I call the tipping point, where the company is just getting ready to really and truly take off. So again, welcome this evening. So glad, Roger, that you allowed me to come share my story. I look forward to meeting all of you. I live here in the UK, got a UK British passport now, so I'm here to stay. And we look forward to helping you build the business or to be able to help serve you in any way that we can. Roger?
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for sharing your story. And really, it's shaped and fashioned very much the mission of Genistar. And so when I met Jeff, he shared some financial concepts that, as he said, were not rocket science, but I was thinking to myself, I wish I'd heard these things 10, 15 years before. And so I started to get interested in what Jeff was talking about. We swapped numbers, we stayed in touch. And about a year later, he was back in the Northwest and we went out for a coffee. And Jeff just asked me a couple of questions. He said, Roger, do you like helping people? I said, sure. I mean, that's what we do in the work we do with the charity. He said, would you be interested in making an extra income? And I've got to admit, Jeff, that at that time I was working in the charity sector, full of very big-hearted people, but not perhaps well paid for what they do. So I was really interested to find out more. And what really impressed me about Genistar was the mission of the company, this desire to help families become debt-free and financially independent. To me, it sounded like the goal of a charity, and yet there was a business, a commercial enterprise that was achieving that. And so I started working very part-time. I was helping perhaps one family a month. So I was working maybe 6 to 8 hours a month. And I did that for about nearly 3/4 of a year. And then I met one of the founding vice presidents who'd helped found the company with Jeff. And he just gave me a little bit of coaching and mentorship. And he said, Roger, why are you doing this on your own? I mean, it's great what you're doing for families, but you limit the amount of impact you can have because it's all based on the amount of time and availability you've got. And this guy, John, said to me, look, if you could build a team of 10 people, just imagine you'd all help one family a month. And now you'd be helping 11 families combined instead of just the one family you're doing. And he said, the amazing thing is the company will pay you not just for the work that you do, but for the work that gets done by the team. Now, I'm quite a slow learner, and that bit didn't really register with me, but I understood the power of teamwork. So I built a small team in Liverpool, and then it extended to Manchester, and we started to cover the Northwest, and my income started to increase. And eventually it started to match what I was earning in the charity, and I went full-time in Genistar towards the end of 2014. And by the end of 2015, I've become an executive vice president, and that role is really where you supervise the business, the team, in terms of compliance, administration, and also just training the team as well. Supporting people who want to help families and earn an extra income part-time, and mentor people who want to grow and become full-time in the business. We grew incredibly well after that, and that last year we actually promoted 6 vice presidents just from our team. The company exploded, our team just shot into sort of new things, and we've been growing very fast. So it's a great time to be checking out Genistar and just having a look to see what we do. So I'm going to explain a little bit more of what we do, but when we start with clients, it sometimes surprises them because we don't start talking about money straight away. We talk about goals and dreams. And I'm sure that everybody who's on the call today, you've got some plans for your future, things that you'd really, really like to do, even if they require a large amount of money and they seem quite far away. Well, how would you feel if 10 years from now, they were still far away, waving at you on the horizon, and you hadn't achieved them? I guess you'd be a little bit frustrated, like you were treading water, you weren't making the progress that you were really looking for. But what if you could find a way of achieving those goals within the next few years? If we could just find a way of connecting those goals and dreams with a plan and a means of you actually achieving that, I guess you'd feel very different. Maybe like the family that are on the beach, smiling faces, upbeat, feeling as if you're making progress in the goals that you're looking to achieve. And that's what Genistar is looking to do, really help to turn people's goals for the future into a reality by connecting that dream with a plan. And so who is Genistar exactly? Well, we're a company that is a financial services company, but we're focused on educating clients. We believe that if we can empower people with the right information, they can make smarter financial decisions for themselves. We're regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, and we've been established since 2007, which is when Jeff began the business. And we're now one of the fastest growing financial services companies in the whole of the UK. So what I'm going to explain to you tonight is how Genistar actually achieves this goal of helping people become debt-free and financially independent. So the first thing we do is we provide free financial education. Now think back to your school days, and when you were in secondary school in particular, I suspect your financial education was a bit like mine. It didn't happen until I got to sixth form. We had a 15-minute assembly with a bank manager who came in and told us how to open up a bank account, write a check, spend on a credit card, and then they were gone and they just left us a pen. Now I did A-level biology. I spent 2 weeks learning how to dissect a rat. And I promise you, since leaving school, I've never chopped up a rat ever again, but I've dealt with money on a daily basis. And I suspect you're the same. You learn words in different languages that you've never spoken again. Unless you're a maths teacher, you learned Pythagoras' theorem and probably never applied it again. And yet you weren't taught the rules of the money game, the ways that you can actually manage money to get strong and stay strong financially once you've left school. So Genistar's goal is really to teach people some principles, as Jeff said, sort of steps that take people on a journey to financial independence. A couple of years ago, Jeff wrote a book called Your Journey to Financial Freedom, and we give that out to our clients, to people that work with us. And obviously I can show you how we can get that to you by the end of the presentation tonight. But what we want to do is teach people about debt freedom, mortgage acceleration, the rule of 72, smart investing, and a whole lot more that gets them onto a pathway to financial success. So after the free financial education, the next thing that we want to do is provide people with a free financial plan. Now, research in the UK has found that most people actually spend more time planning for a holiday every year than they do planning for their money. And it's creating a bit of a ticking time bomb in the UK. You may have read about this if you read the papers when it comes to retirement. If you took a random sample of 100 67-year-olds in the UK right now, this is how the numbers would shake out. One would be wealthy. Their net worth is 2.5 million or more. Four are financially independent. Their net worth is between 500,000 and 2.5 million. But that leaves 41 still working because they can't afford to stop. And 54 we've kind of cheekily called dead broke because these are the people that rely on the government's pension plan to look after them. Now, if that is you and you're 67 or 68, depending on your age you qualify, at the moment for an individual, you get £168 a week. So imagine it's a Monday morning, you're waking up, you leap out of bed, you rush to the post office and you get £168 to last you the next 7 days. It's not really living or thriving, it's more like surviving. So obviously there's a couple of questions. Where would you really like to be when you're 67 or 68? Well, without knowing you or hearing a response, I know that if you're modest, you're going to say number 4, financially independent. If you're ambitious, you're probably going to say wealthy. But the really important question is, if you change nothing about what you're doing right now, where are you most likely to be? Because a very small percentage really achieve that goal by the time they get to the stage where they're looking to stop work and be financially free. So in helping families become debt-free and find that financial freedom, we do the education and the plan, And then we introduce our clients to different providers that can help them save money or get better value for money in a range of different products and services. So to show you how all this fits together, if you were my client, what we would do is a couple of appointments online on Zoom. And on the first appointment, I would simply show you some education that just gets you thinking a little bit differently about the way you can manage your money and get it working as hard for you as you work for it yourself. And then at the end of that, offer you the free financial plan. And if you wanted that, we'd need to gather up the financial information. We then work using the Genistar software to produce the financial plan. And then we arrange a second appointment where we come back and really show you the plan that's designed to equip you to change your financial future. And at the end of that plan, that really is like a sat nav for your money. So it's looking at where you're starting from, where you're going to, and how you can best get there. We will then look at the different providers that we work with to see if we can get you better value for money in a range of different products and services. So you'll notice they're listed here. These are not niche products. These are the products and services that most families will need as they go through their financial journey in life. The Genistar reps don't have to be experts in these areas. We're referring our clients to companies that specialize in their particular area. And this is how we've grown the business. So I'll give you an idea of perhaps one of the more well-known partners that we work with. We work with a company called Vitality. They're the third biggest insurer in the UK right now, but one of the fastest growing. They're actually a multinational company that is based in South Africa, operating in 16 different markets, including the US and China and parts of Europe. And Genistar is now their #1 broker, so their #1 provider of clients in the UK for life and serious illness cover. Genistar is actually the 6th biggest broker now in the UK, full stop. So to put some numbers on that, we now have over £4 billion worth of face amount life and serious illness cover with Vitality. What that means is if every one of our clients actually made a claim tomorrow, Vitality would have to pay out over £4 billion. So we've done all of that without any advertising. We don't advertise, we build the business through word of mouth recommendation. Our head office is actually based down in Caterham, which is at the bottom of the M25, but you can see we're represented throughout the UK, but we've been growing increasingly faster and faster. The graph actually ends in 2020, but at the end of that year, we'd actually managed to double in size, almost in terms of our turnover. And there are now full-time opportunities and part-time opportunities for people who would like to work with us, helping families, and then making obviously an extra income. And we're interviewing right now. So we've covered 3 of the 4 ways that we help families. And the 4th thing that we do is we provide people with an opportunity either to have a part-time flexible income or ultimately run their own business within the company. And I'm going to explain that to you in a little bit more detail now. I'll skip that. And as I explained to you before, when I met John Flynn, who was sort of training me in the business, I was aware that I could make an immediate income. The income in Genistar does not come from billing for our hours or for putting the financial plan together. They're free. It's a complimentary service, but we make an income through the commissions that are generated when our clients take a product or service. So if they took home insurance, a mortgage, life cover with Vitality, that's how we get paid. So there's an immediate income that's generated when we go and help a family ourselves, but we can also build a passive income that comes from building a team and empowering others to help more families. So just to show you how that works in the company and the way that we're structured, and this just gives you an idea of what we're paying to different people at different stages in the business. Everybody who starts with us comes in as a trainee. Because we're regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, we have to take people through a short training program that typically takes 2 to 4 weeks. You can earn a little bit of money while you're training, but once you become a licensed Genistar rep, you're now authorized to go and help a family on your own without anyone being on the appointment supervising. And typically, if you're helping a family a week, you'll be earning £500 to £1,000 a month. The first promotion is a team leader promotion, and this is where you start to have 2 sources of income, one from the work that you do and one from the work that your team does. The first time that ever happened to me, I was 10-pin bowling in Liverpool. I'd spent £40 on bowling. I was paid £140 from Genistar for the work that one of my team did. It's not a big amount of money, right? But it was a life-changing moment because the penny suddenly dropped that by building a team and training them, I could make lots of little amounts of £140 that would accumulate to big amounts as I trained and built the team and continued to do that. So our team leaders are typically making 1,000 to 2,000 a month. And then we have two more part-time positions made up of people that often love their job, love their work, but also love the fact that they're doing something with Genistar to really help families really change the direction of travel and the destination of their financial future. And somewhere in that journey, some people decide, you know what, I'd really like to do this and be my own boss, have my own business. And so you can own your own company within the company of Genistar, and executive vice presidents are the ones that are doing that. And so full-time, typically the executive vice presidents are earning about £5,000 a month, but they're also in an ownership program. So this is where you can sell the business back to Genistar, you can pass it on to your kids to run, it can even make an income for you in retirement or a legacy once you've left this earth. There are a couple more senior positions. We have senior vice presidents and then national sales directors and senior national sales directors. The top earners in our company are earning between 350 and 500,000 a year. But before we get carried away with that, it's worth saying they've been in the business over a decade. They started as trainees. They've built their business over time and raised up leaders who are able to do what they can do. And so they've built a business over time that is now generating that size of income. As I say, most people start just thinking they'd like to help people and earn a bit of an extra income along the way. So just to show you a sample of our leadership team, this is out of the 89 executive vice presidents that we have right now. This is just a sample of them. And you'll notice it's pretty evenly split men and women. There's a great range of nationalities displayed here. And also in terms of the background, we're not necessarily looking for people with a financial background. If I just take the top row of executive vice presidents, we do have on the left-hand side, top left, a guy called Steve Jenkins. He actually used to be a financial advisor. But then we have a guy that used to run a garage, a mechanic's garage, repairing cars, an accountant, a plasterer, a lecturer, a car salesman, someone who worked on the shop floor of John Lewis, a teacher and a nurse, and somewhere in all of there is a croupier from a casino. So we're looking for people really that are hungry for an opportunity, who've got a big heart to go and help people. So really what we're doing now is bringing the presentation to a close, because this is really just a flavor. It's an introduction. It's like looking through a shop window. And I guess at the end of this presentation, there's probably two pathways that you could take. For some of you, you're thinking, well, a great way to start 2021 would be to have a financial plan, do like an MOT on your money. And if that's the case, why don't you speak to the person that invited you tonight and just ask them if they could get a Genistar rep to put a plan together. But for some of you, you might actually be interested in exploring the business a little bit further. And there's still more information that we really want to get to you before you make a decision either way. We want to explain a bit more about how you get paid, how you get trained, how you build a team and how you get promoted, and how you get clients. And of course, we also have to check to see who's qualified to work with us. So what we'd recommend is that you book a one-to-one appointment where we can answer your questions and then explain the business in a bit more detail to see if it's really a mutual opportunity for us and yourself. And what you'll find at that meeting is that there's no monthly subscription that you have to pay for being in Genistar, and there's no targets that you have to hit week by week or month by month. You don't have to buy any product or service that we offer, although we do ask that everybody who works with us has a financial plan so you know what it's like to be a client. And you'll also discover about the amount of support that we put in place to train people and develop people in the business. So at the interview, you have to complete an online application. If you decide that you want to work with us, it's an online application that takes about 15 minutes to do. And you have to provide a couple of things. The first is your ID. You've got to prove that you are the person that you say you are, and also your right to work in the UK. So a British passport, still at the moment an EU passport, although I think that ends in the summer. And obviously, if you've got another national passport, you might also need your visa. There is a £140 registration fee, and that's basically a one-off payment that allows us to do the background checks that we're required to do by the Financial Conduct Authority. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, oh, well, there's the catch. That's why the person invited me. There's no commission that gets paid out on that. It is purely an admin charge. And for that, you're really getting a business in a box. It's like buying into a franchise where you've already got a head office, the finance, the legal, the compliance side are done there. You've got all the materials, the website, the partner companies that we work with, plus the training and the mentorship that really gets you started. So after you've joined the business, we book an orientation meeting with you to start your training so that you're then ready to go and explode your business. So this is really an opportunity for the entrepreneurially minded. And there's a great quote from Richard Branson. He says, if someone offers you an amazing opportunity and you're not sure you can do it, why don't you say yes and learn how to do it later? I didn't have a financial background, but I love the heart of the company and that opportunity to earn an extra income. And that's why I jumped in and started working with the business. So I really want to thank you for being on the call tonight. We hope that we've kept it to time. And so, because we want to honor you and value your time. But as I say, if you now think that a financial plan or you want to explore the opportunity in a bit more detail as a pathway that you want to explore, I'd really encourage you to speak to the person that invited you so that you can see then if we can then have a further meeting. So thanks again for your time. Thanks, Jeff, for being on tonight and explaining your story. Really appreciate you taking the trouble to be with us. And thank you for being with us this evening. Good night.